Very good. Thank you all very much for coming on this beautiful Sunday morning. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the opening prayers or anything that we've been talking about or anything that you'd like to talk about? Okay, good. Okay. So I just wanted to finish up our discussion on the 37 Bodhisattva practices. So just this morning, I sent a copy of the 37 practices with a commentary by Garchen Rinpoche for each one of those verses. So the translation is a little bit different than the one that we had been using during the past few weeks. It's the same as this little yellow book that many of you had. And this is one of the original translations. And personally, I prefer this one. So that's the one that I sent you along with the commentary. Included in that today was a review that kind of gives us a kind of an index or a table of contents to be able to appreciate a little bit better the 37 practices. And if we want to do, a specific uh, remembrance of a particular uh, part of the 37 practices. So here is, you can see this on the screen share. So this is the review of the 37 practices of the Bodhisattva by Nolchu Tome Sangbo and commentary by His Holiness, His Eminence Garchen Rinpoche. So the I just got to get rid of this bar here. So the good ship, the first verse is called the good ship. So this is the illustration of us being in this boat and navigating along these waterways. So this is a reference to that visualization. The good ship is verse 1. Leaving home, verses 2 and 3, is what it means for us to be able to cut our attachment to our mundane lives, to our where we are that we live and so on, and not that we're going to run out and we're going to close up our houses and go to the woods and start living the life of an ascetic or something, but it gives us a point of view that the bodhisattva is capable of doing that. And whether we do this in this lifetime or another lifetime to come, this leaving home gives us something to remind us that there is something beyond what it is that we are doing in our mundane existence. The next group was letting go. So letting go was cutting ourselves off, letting go of the things that we are attached to, the phenomenal nature, our possessions and our positions in life and so on like that. So letting go is a reference to that, and that was verses 4 and 5. And then the next one is trusting. So that's verses 6 and 7. Who it is that we trust in, what it is that we trust in. We, we ultimately trust in the guru who is within each one of us, and we need to be able to recognize that. But first, we have to trust in the yearning that we have for that, and to trust in the teachers, to trust in the scriptures and the books and so on that we use. So trusting in the Buddha Dharma in order to help us to be able to liberate from attachments and aversions. Then the next one is commitment. The commitments that we make in order that we may do this, verses 8 and 9. So those are articulated. The wish fulfilling jewels, verse 10 and 11. So these wish fulfilling jewels are like the recognition of the wisdom of the 37 practices and of the other teachings, the Buddha Dharma teachings, and so on. So these are the wish fulfilling jewels that we bring into ourselves and we focus upon in order that we may complete our liberation. The next one is a big group is the transforming trouble. Transforming trouble. So here these are verses 12 through 21. So these are the different um, aspects that we engage during our lifetime. And as this arises, how a bodhisattva deals with these, how a holy enlightened being deals with these things by cutting off ourselves from any attachment or aversion, by placing the trouble as a teacher in our lives and not becoming succumbing to the attachments and to the seductions that the trouble presents to us. And the next group is the dreams and rainbows. So these are daydreams, nighttime dreams, the rainbows, the illusory nature of things. These are aspirations that we may have. And so these are verses 22 and 24. And then the next group is the training and serving. So this is verses 25 through 30. And these are based really on the paramitas, the prajna paramitas, the 6 paramitas that we've talked about, the perfections of training and serving, that we are training in order that we may help other beings to attain enlightenment, and we are serving them in that means to be able to help them to attain enlightenment. So being a bodhisattva is to constantly be training and to always be serving other beings. So the next group was beware. So verses 31 through 36. So these were kind of like admonitions. These were, warnings of things to be aware of, to avoid, and to recognize. We don't avoid things by suppressing them. We really deal with things by allowing them to come up and then to deal with them, to apply the antidotes as if they were poisons in our system. So here is a warning for us to be on the lookout for things that we need to be able to overcome through loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity through the bodhicitta. So this is the essence of what a bodhisattva is bodhicitta. And then finally is verse 37 is the conclusion and the dedication. So this is that we are dedicating all this work for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, so this little menu here, if you're, want to take some time and study these things, and you can look these things up. So this is what we do. And, for a couple of years, I recited these prayers to myself every day for a couple of years, like I say, and very powerful, and will help guide you on the path, to put your wheels on the track, so to speak, like a locomotive, and keep you moving in a forward direction towards the Buddha Dharma, towards liberation from attachments and aversion, which is another way of saying freedom. So this is what our goal, our major goal, our view of being a human being is to lead us to freedom, to be able to liberate ourselves from samsara. Okay, so does anybody have any comments or questions about the 37 practices? Okay. If anybody wants a printed copy, please just let me know, and I'll be happy to print a copy and send it to you next time we send out some literature, which we'll be doing again before too long. So having this, at the ready is really good. This is all good stuff. These are jewels. These are all wisdom jewels. These are the way in which we develop our practice. By our practice becomes studying these different booklets and these different teachings and so on. So you should surround yourself in your room, wherever you are to do your meditations. You should have these things within arm's reach, because while you're doing a meditation, something may come up and you're thinking about that, and you should be able to just open up your eyes, reach over, get that particular book that you're looking for, those notes that you're looking for, and be able to contemplate that right then and there, and not have to postpone it. If it's something you don't have information for, but it's a question that comes up, you should have paper, and you should have pencils or pens or something to write down your notes, to write down your questions, so that you can relax and go back into your contemplation, into your meditation, without constantly churning. Oh, I got to remember this. I got to remember that. I got to look this up. I got to ask somebody about this other idea that came up in my mind. Just write it down and then get back to your peaceful meditation. So those are helpful hints that I think, will help you to grow. If you could see my room here where I sit, I've got notes all around me. I got books all around me, the major books that I need, and so on like that. And so this is the way of the practitioner. This is what a practitioner is developing this. So okay. So we've been talking about stages of the meditation. So just to review, I've sent this to you before. We do our opening prayers. We do the 4 thoughts to turn the mind to the Dharma. Then we recite the method of the stages of meditation. So the method of the stages of meditation, if you recall, is bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. So then to help us to stabilize in those thoughts that we are using for loving kindness, we are reflecting on the 4 kindnesses of our mother, or the loved one who raised us, who bore our body to be born, and then made sacrifices for us. So the four kindnesses of the mother teaches us loving kindness. And then for compassion, we focus on our mother, our loved one, in the 6 realms of samsara. So we talked at length about that. And so we prepare ourselves for compassion by reflecting on the love of our mother, the compassion that we have for our mother being caught in those 6 realms. And then the next one was joy. So we have an aspiration, we have a wish, we have a prayer that our mother remains in joy all the time, sustaining joy. So that is the next one. And the 4th one is equanimity, that we have, we neither have attachment nor aversion towards our mother, whether or not she is paying attention, whether or not she is living loving kindness, whether or not she is caught in those 6 realms, that we still have a sense of equanimity towards all beings, that all beings are the same as we are, the same as they are. So that equanimity. So those are the 4 vast immeasurable qualities of bodhicitta, and they are the method for attaining liberation by being a human being, going through being a human being, and so on. So recognizing bodhicitta. So that's the next part of our meditation. Then we come to the shamatha. The shamatha, the calm abiding. So we've been talking about that the past few weeks, and we have shamatha, calm abiding meditation with a focus, with an object. So the object can be a picture, can be a statue, can be some kind of an illustration or something on the wall or right in front of us, something that has a meaning to us, but at the same time not something that we have to fixate on, but just something that gently reminds us of what we're doing when our mind wanders. It brings us back to what our meditation is, and it shouldn't be anything that is too disturbing or anything of that. It should be something that connotes the peacefulness, the quietude that we are trying to maintain through our shamatha, calm abiding meditation. So we also focused on the idea that we can use a mantra, that we can recite a mantra. So we were reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, behold the jewel in the lotus. So that can be something that we can recite over and over to ourselves out loud, and while we are going through our contemplation meditation period. And when our mind wanders, we just bring it back to reciting the mantra and the meaning of the mantra. So we use the mantra in that case. And then we did the breathing exercises. We watched the breath as a means to be able to focus on a method to be able to stabilize our meditation. So if you remember, we're breathing in very deeply through both nostrils. We're sitting in the 7-point posture of Varanchana with our back straight, etc. And we're breathing our breath in down to 4 inches below our navel, and we hold that breath, fresh, clean, pure air coming in. We can think of it as being clear. We can think of it being the color white or any pure color that we wish, bringing it in, that is bringing this fresh air in to cleanse our body and so on. And we hold that breath, and then we exhale that breath, pushing it out by squeezing our abdomen, and it pushes against the diaphragm, which pushes against the lungs and forces that stale, negative, dark air out. And then we hold that empty breath, that vacant breath, and we maintain our posture. And then we breathe in again, repeating that over and over, breathing in, holding the breath, exhaling, holding the breath, watching that fresh, clean, pure air coming in, and watching it go out as stale, dark, contaminated air being forced out. So we watch the breath. So when our mind wanders, we bring it back to watching the breath. And then in between all these visualizations and so on, we're having this peaceful, no thought or no attachment to thought. You know, our brain, the function of the brain is to think. And what it thinks are all these different thoughts. And being able to stop that is all but impossible, even for the greatest meditation practitioners. Our brain is still constantly thinking. The difference is we're not paying attention to it. We're not attached to those thoughts that are coming. We're not chasing those thoughts. Oh, that's a really nice thought. Oh, I'm thinking of a beach. Oh, the sunshine laying on the beach and the water and the sound of the waves coming and everything, and chasing all the the different things that happen when you can think about that. Or maybe it's taking a walk in the woods and on a mountainside or something, and all the associated thoughts that can come out of that. We're not paying it. We just let it go. We just let the thought go. Maybe there are aversions, thoughts of things that we don't like, thoughts of maybe we got to call somebody that we're not, really looking forward to, or we've got a difficult challenge ahead of us, something like that, or something that just happened that upset us, something like that. So we're not chasing the aversions either. We're just letting them go. Just let them go. And the way in which we let them go, if we need to, is by engaging in the breathing, watching the breath, is by reciting the mantras, by looking at the image that we have in front of us, something like that to help us to stabilize our mind from jumping around watching these thoughts. This is how we learn to control our mind. This is what we are trying to do. This is what the practitioner's job is to learn how to control the mind, to develop one-pointed mindfulness. Now, this process doesn't take 2 days or 3 days or a week or a year. It takes quite a while to get good at this, at being able to do that. And as I said, even the greatest practitioners still have these thoughts that are coming, but they're not paying attention to them. They're not caught up in them. They're not corrupted by them. So, the process of shamatha, to really understand the process of shamatha, because it is a very broad topic, it is something that we do in our daily practice, or we should be doing in our daily practice, more than any of the other things, is to get to this calm abiding, to get to this peacefulness, this resting. This is what we're trying to do, and to be able to take that with us when we get up off the cushion. So what that means is that we're able to stabilize this quietude in our lives, this peacefulness in our lives. And when we finish our meditation, we're taking that quietude with us. And that the rest of our day, the rest of all of our encounters, be in the field of that quietude. And if interruptions come up, we deal with the interruptions, but we're not letting it agitate us. We're not letting it corrupt the rest of our day. It's not ruining our day and so on. And as soon as we can get back to our quietude, then we're just resting and being peaceful for the rest of the day and so on. So to help us to visualize this, I've sent you these cards, and these cards are tell a story. This is the illustration of calm abiding meditation. So I want to take you through this so that we can examine this. And does anybody have any questions or comments about anything that I've just said so far?
The only thing something I've been realizing, and maybe something you talk about too, is how important it is, like what doing like between the meditation sessions, even just in the sense of like with attention, that if I'm like really just chasing my attention right now, or if I'm on the phone a lot and I'm looking at this and this and this and this, like my mind just gets like so wild in general. And that I know for me, like I'm realizing I need to like simplify my mind, or like keep it contained on some level like throughout the day, otherwise it just gets so wild. And like the meditation might calm it for like a brief period, but it's just like it, in ways that I feel like it didn't used to be 10 years ago or something. I think a
Yes.
lot of it has to do for me like with the technology, like it gets so
Yes.
impulsive and wild and scattered.
Yes. So what was the question? Or are
It
you
was just a
making a
comment or
statement?
something I was thinking about too, with thinking about shamatha stuff. I don't know. Not really a question, I guess.
Well, if the point is that slowly but surely, if you're committed to this process, it will become who you are. You will assimilate this process into your life, and you will become a much more calm person. You will be less agitated. You will be more circumspective of what's happening around you, and use these tools that we've been talking about to maintain your peace of mind, because this is our natural state. This is who we are as human beings. We've allowed ourselves to complicate our lives very, very much. We've been seduced by all these possibilities. But in essence, we're just calm. We just want to be calm. We just want to be peaceful and restful. So, slowly, by committing yourself to this process, you will find that that will happen. The emotions will become controlled. Our mental misconceptions will be recognized. We'll see them. And our habitual tendencies will change. So we talk about this in terms of who we present ourselves at. Here we're an agitated, ordinary human being, but then we become a practitioner who is practicing this pathway. And then we become a yogi or a yogini who is in union with our spirituality. It's not just that we're a physical being. It's not just that we're an intellectual being, but we're in union with our spirituality. And everything that we do is nested in that spirituality. And then we become a bodhisattva, a wholly enlightened being, where things really get much simpler, where we start cutting ourselves or cutting things off from our attention or things that bother us. We're redefining our lives, we're simplifying our lives, and so on. So that's becoming a bodhisattva who is on the path, who is purifying themselves on the path until finally we become Buddha. We become the awakened one who is unshakable, who is perfect in being able to maintain this one-pointed mindfulness. This is our goal. This is what being a Buddha is being a realized human being who is perfectly stable in this awakenedness. So this is the experience of being a holy human being, these steps and so on. So recognizing that and embracing that and saying, well, this is what I want to do. So I think last time or two we talked about that this becomes our lifestyle, being on this path. We're integrating this spirituality into our lives. So for many of us, for several of you, I should say, or what you're middle age, you're still working, you have responsibilities, you have families, and we respect that. It's necessary. You got to do that, but you're going to be doing it now with this added component of the spirituality. And then at some point, you're going to be able to, when you're 60 years old, 65, 70, whatever it is, that you can kind of change your life to the point that you don't have to work anymore. You have more time. You can dedicate more time to being freed of all those responsibilities. Now you can spend much more time doing your practice and really fine tuning your practice and uh, uh, cultivating your mindfulness for what comes as our death. When we drop our physical body, we drop our intellectual body, and we become pure spirit, that we're preparing ourselves for that. So we can be doing that now, but once we can simplify our jobs and so on and do that later in our lives. So in other words, look at your life in terms of three phases. That you have the childhood phase when you're learning all this stuff that's going on around us and so on, and how to manipulate our way through life. And then our working part where we're raising our family and we're actually engaged in all this phenomenal nature. But then comes the last stage, the final stage, or that we're able to develop the transcendence, to be able to develop the stability in the transference of consciousness, and be able to prepare ourselves for our pure spirituality. So I think that's a really good way to look at the scope of our lives in a very broad view.
I actually do have like what's an actual question, I guess. This time with the breathing technique that that you taught us and you talk about, how long like will you or would you recommend like doing that? Like you could do that for like an extended, you do that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or something. I know we typically would do it like a few rounds of it before a more formal meditation. Can you give any input on like how long might be a good time to be doing the actual that type of breathing technique?
I would start off doing it counting 20 times, 20 cycles. So as you're breathing in, you hold it, you exhale, and with the exhalation, you say, okay, this was number one. And you go and do another cycle. This is number two. You say it out loud and you continue that. And so 10 doesn't quite get it. 15 you start seeing the benefit, and 20, you start getting it, and you're building, the system of being able to do that. and it becomes more, natural to you, easy. So 20 times. However, I can say that in the beginning time when I started doing this, I would do it for, 40 minutes or an hour, something like that. If I wanted to really expand my meditation time, and maybe my meditation time at that time was 15 minutes, and I said, well, I really want to get to 40 minutes or an hour, then I might do a whole time of watching the breath, the whole time watching the breath. I may not have been counting at that point, but I was very focused on doing the mechanics of that to prove to myself that I can do this, to give myself confidence that I can do this. And then you do that for some period of time, for weeks on end or days or whatever it is, months, whatever it is, and it gives you that confidence. Then you may not have to purposefully be breathing in and exhaling, doing each one of those cycles until your mind wanders. Then you say, oh, my mind has wandered. I need to bring it back. I do that 4 or 5 times and I get my peace of mind back. I get that relaxation back, that one pointed mindfulness back. So look at these things as you come to a wall, you come to an obstacle. And the obstacle might be time, it might be your mind jumping around or something. And you got to break through that wall, that ceiling. You got to break through the ceiling. So these techniques are helping us to break through those things to be able to get to that relaxation, to that peace of mind. So the question becomes, do you want that peace of mind? Is that what you really want to do? Because that's what we're working toward. If you're not, if that's not what you want, then maybe you're in the wrong place. But that's what we're trying to show you how to do that. And it will come. Many people, would come, in the beginning and say, "Oh, I'm so emotional. I'm so upset. My monkey mind is jumping around so much." I say, "Well, just pay attention, listen to the teachings, and after, a year, 2 years of going through this, then they say, Lance, I asked you so many times about how to control my emotions and everything, and I did it all just by following these practices, just by doing these things." So yeah, you can't intellectualize your way through it. You got to experience your way through it. Okay. But to do the experience, we got to have a bit of intellectualization. We got to understand what it is that we're doing. So this again brings us back to the illustration. So if we can look at the card here, you got the color card, and I'm going to screen share it. Oops. There we go. Okay, so what we see here is a long and winding road, a long and winding path that is going through this process of developing shamatha, calm abiding meditation. So it winds its way through. The principal characters in this illustration is the monk. You see that there's a monk here, and the monk represents one who is committed and focused on the path. Not that it has to be a monk, that we have to be a monk in order to be able to do this, but it certainly helps. It limits our focus of distraction and so on. But we can be an ordinary human being and still have real benefit from these practices. So here is this monk, and then here is an elephant, and the elephant represents our mind. This represents our mind. And then here is a monkey. And the monkey represents agitation or distraction, the things that is leading our mind, that is pulling our mind, that is confusing our mind. So the monkey. And then here is a hare, a rabbit. And the rabbit represents the torpor or the laziness, the mental sinking, just the getting worn down or whatever, just the laziness of our mind represents that. So these are the main characters that are being portrayed here in this picture, in this illustration. So the six powers of meditation, if you look on the back side, the six powers of shamatha meditation is number one is listening. So here you guys are listening, you're listening to what I'm saying. These teachings are ancient teachings that go on from generation to generation and so on. These books that we have, is another way of being able to receive these teachings, that you're reading these things, you're taking these things in. So you're listening to what has been established as method for us to be able to bring into our lives and to change our lives. So we're listening to these things. So the six powers of shamatha meditation, we're listening to those teachings. Then we're reflecting. We're thinking about them. We're reflecting on how they appear to us in our everyday life, how it looks external to us, how it looks internal to us. We're reflecting on these lessons, on these different practices and so on. And then we begin to remember the lessons that we've learned. Sometimes we're constantly learning the same things over and over and over again because we're not remembering them. If we remember them properly, then we can move on to the next thing. But if we keep on doing the same thing over again and we're not committing ourselves to remembering it, then we're just going to stay stuck at that level. So when we talk about the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma, when we talk about the bodhicitta, all these different lists, these are there for us to be able to remember, to memorize. And once we begin to do that, we begin to see it when we get up off the cushion and we see why it is that we did get agitated, why it is these things are bothering us when we go to work or school or we're talking to our family or something like that. We begin to see why these things are bothering us. And we remember how we can overcome these things, how we can stop these things, how we can cut ourselves off from these attachments and aversions that we have that is manifesting the agitation and so on. So we need to remember what's going on. So the shamatha meditation can be used for that, going through our lesson plans, so to speak. Thinking about, what are the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma? What are the four powers of remorse, of confession? What are the four vast immeasurables? All these different things, and you can make checklists for yourselves. Meditation, this type of meditation, does not have to be closed eye meditation where you're not thinking about anything. You can have all kinds of notes in front of yourself. You can have all kinds of books and pictures in front of yourself during this portion of things. And then you're remembering, you're listening, you're reflecting, you're remembering, you're stabilizing this in your lifetime. Then you can close your eyes. You can exhaust all that. Then you close your eyes, and then you have that quietude. You're developing the confidence of what that has taught you. So you're bringing it into who you are. So then, of these six powers is the alertness, that we begin to recognize this in all the different things that we do. Like I said, going to your job, being with your family, being with friends, all the things that you do when you're sitting, wasting time, doing things, or maybe You think that you're just resting when all you're doing is just trying to escape or something. You're being alert. You're recognizing the dynamics of all this stuff that's happening. Then the perseverance of maintaining our forward movement on this. Sometimes we get circular. Sometimes we're just constantly we're going around something like this where we've got it encircled, and that's okay, but we also want to get to the next level. So it's like a spiral. We're going around in a circle. We understand, we're learning, we're memorizing, we're becoming confident. Then we got to push ourselves to the next level, or we naturally move ourselves to the next level. And through perseverance, because I'm going to keep at this. My lifestyle is that I am training in this all the time, that I'm practicing this all the time. I'm becoming proficient in this all the time, this perseverance. So we're moving up. So one ceiling then becomes a floor to the next level. And then we master that level, and then the ceiling of that level then becomes the floor of the next level above that. So it's another way of explaining that we're going through these different levels of diligence, persevering. And then finally is complete familiarity. That with this whole process through Shamatha meditation, we're recognizing all these disparate things as all one thing, as the process of developing our meditation practice, our daily meditation practice. So just like I'm able to recite this to you, basically without too many notes, it might appear too many notes, it's only because I have been able to go through this process through my shamatha meditation over and over and over again for long periods of time. Not saying that the sessions, but over years of doing this. And this is the process. This is what it means. This is to be a complete human being. If your goal of being a human being, and I'm not disparaging it, but I'm just saying, that if your goal for being a human being is to grow up, to have a job, to have a family, to be able to go on vacations and do all those things, and then with my spare time to play golf or to go play tennis or to go and ride horses or to take walks or something like that, if those are your goals, I mean, that's fine, but if your goal is to be a complete human being who has this spiritual component, that you are preparing yourself for what it is to be beyond a three-dimensional human being, then this meditation process is a necessary part of things to do. So, setting your goals. So, now we come back to our illustration here. So, we come back to these 9 stages of experience in shamatha meditation. So, first off, you see here is a landscape. Here we are on the earth, the planet Earth. And here we are leaving our house. This house is our body and our senses. These windows represent our different senses on the world, on this phenomenal nature and so on. And the house is basically empty. And we're realizing that all this stuff that had been in the house that we've gotten rid of and so on, now we have to move, and we're moving away from this house, and we're expanding our experience as being a human being. So we need to engage in this process. We need to engage on this path. We need to start walking this way of going. So here is this monk who has left this house, the house of the senses, the house of the body, and so on. And here he is. He's carrying a hook, and he's carrying a lasso, and he's chasing his mind. He's chasing the elephant. The elephant is black, and the blackness of the elephant represents its total darkness, its ignorance, the mind that is unaware of what is going on. And so, through the power of the listening and the contemplation that this monk is now engaged in, this listening and contemplation, he's endeavoring to be able to control the mind. So he's got this hook and he's got this lasso to be able to subdue his mind, to lasso his mind. The mind, the elephant, is being pulled along by the monkey. And the monkey represents this agitation and distraction. So we're letting all this distraction, all this stuff pull us along. That's what's guiding our lives. That's what's pulling our lives is our monkey mind. And we're just letting it happen. But here at this point now, we're realizing, oh, I got to control my mind. So I'm going to discipline myself in order to be able to do that. So one of the first things that we need to deal with are senses. That, remember this house here, which is the house of those senses. The first thing that we have to deal with is the sense of touch. The sense of touch here are these scarves, these ribbons, beautiful, beautiful silks or whatever. And the texture of them are so nice and they can keep us warm, So we have to be able to control our sense of touch, and the things that our sense of touch excites us. As we're growing up and so on, and as we're a child and we're doing all these things as an infant, we're putting all these things, we're touching everything, and we're developing our sense of touch and so on. And as we get older, as we get into our teen years, and we're touching things and we're finding sensations that we didn't know we had when we were a child and as a teenager, and then we start having relationships with sexual partners, and how the sense of touch is so intoxicating. How else could you say it? It completely controls us, that sense of touch. So we need to be able to control that. So here we encounter the sense of touch and being able to rest that sense of touch, that sensation that excites us and that intoxicates us so much. And the mind, what we are moving towards is this intensity of this fire of this heat, this pressure of all this touching, of all this sensation of the darkness of the mind, the monkey pulling us. It's like a raging fire. Our mind is on fire, and we're trying to subdue that. So this is the first part of the path. Then we come and we make this turn now, and now here is the monk who is getting a little bit closer, and he's still got the same tools. He's got the hook and he's got the lasso, and here in front of him is a fire, but it's a little bit less of a fire. And here is the sense of smell, is these flowers. This flowers represents, or rather the taste, this is the fruit, excuse me, is the sense of taste. So how much of that guides us, and is our sensation intoxicating us? It's our sense of taste, whether it's food or it's the sensations that we're having, with other people and so on, with our sexual diet and so on like that. So this is what is in front of us. And here, realizing this, now our mind, the elephant, is beginning, you see, that the crown of the head is beginning to become white, is becoming purified. So this intensity of the darkness now is beginning to fade, at least at the very top of the crown. The monkey is still moving this mind around, but it's not as forceful as it was before. Here it really seems like the monkey is really moving forcefully in the first part. Now, in the second part, it's more of a gentle walk. And it's walking towards, you see this sense of smell. And you see that here is a conch shell, and the sense of smell has the aroma of the different things and so on, and how that sense is what is driving us, our mind, to remain in darkness and the confusion and so on. But we can also use other things like flowers, we can use incense, we can use different things to be able to stimulate the spirituality aspect of our practices and so on. So we can incorporate our senses into something that is useful rather than something that is always just pulling us down. So here the fire is still in front of us, but the fire is a little less intense. And the monkey, you can see the crown of the monkey, that his crown is white, that he is becoming purified, that his blackness, his darkness has been affected by the concentration of the monk. So the monk here is concentrating through the taste, concentrating through the smell. So this is the power of concentration, is the second part here. So now we make another turn and we come to the third part here. So now the monk has been able to use his lasso, and he's tied on to the elephant. He's got a little bit more control of the elephant. And the elephant now, you can see his whole head now has become white, become more purified. The monkey has lost his tether. He doesn't have his tether to the elephant anymore. And the elephant has turned his head, and the monkey has turned his head, and both of them are looking at the monk, who is trying to control the mind. So this is the power of memory. The monk is memorized. He's remembering. He's recalling his training, and so the mind and the agitation is now looking for direction from the monk, who is still behind, but they are now paying attention. Also appears is the rabbit or the hare, who has a black body, but here now he's got a white head, and he's looking at the monk. So this rabbit, this hare, is stupor, is laziness. So now that laziness that was maintaining the ignorance of the monkey and so on, now is becoming awakened and is looking again to the monk for more stimulation, for more direction. But he is still leading from behind. So now we're coming to hearing. So we're dealing with our sense of hearing. And the fire here has gotten a little bit more diminished. So this hearing, using the mantras, using the teachings, using music, all as different ways, listening to the birds, listening to nature, listening to things that we weren't paying attention to when we were down here in the lower parts. We were not paying attention to them because we were too busy working and trying to earn a living and doing all those other things and so on. So here we're using the hearing now as a means to stimulate our spirituality, our growth. So then we move on. So the fire is still here in front of us, but we're paying attention. We're not paying as much attention to it. So now we come to this next part here, the fourth part here, which is the power of recollection. We're remembering. So now here is the monk who still has his lasso around the mind, around the elephant. He hasn't used his hook yet. He's still leading from behind, if you can use that term. But the elephant now is getting more and more purified. His front part, his legs and so on, his chest are becoming purified. And he's looking at the monk. The same with the monkey. The distracted mind is looking. The rabbit is waking up more and more, is looking at the monk and so on. So there's big change that is beginning to happen now. The fire is getting lower and lower. It's getting smaller and smaller. And now we make this turn and we come up to this next turn, and we notice that there is a tree here, and there is a tree full of ripe fruit. And if you notice, there's a monkey in this tree, and this monkey is completely purified, completely white. And this becomes an aspiration for us. We begin to recognize, oh, the fruits of my work is in front of me and is obtainable. I begin to recognize that I can do this, that this mind can be fed the fruits of our meditation practice, of our shamatha meditation. So as we make this turn, we see now here is a very big change, because now the monk is in front of the animals, in front of the mind, in front of the elephant, in front of the monkey, and in front of the hare, of the rabbit. And now he's got his lasso around the mind, but he's also got the hook. And he's hooking and he's pulling the elephant and the animals along with him. And now the monkey is holding on to the tail of the elephant. So this distraction and so on is still tied to the mind, but it's less controlled by it. And we see that now the whole front half of the elephant, the top half of the monkey, and the top half of the rabbit now are all been purified, are all white now, and are moving in the direction of the monk who is leading them. And then now we come here, the fire has gotten even smaller. The intensity of all this has gotten smaller. So this recollection is really kicking in, and now also is the meditative absorption. So number 5 is the meditative absorption. So this meditative absorption is exactly what we've been talking about, what I've been trying to inspire you all to engage in, is this meditative absorption. And it comes from, the diligence of doing this over and over again, and gently pushing ourselves, opening ourselves up to a deeper commitment, a longer commitment, and so on like that. So this is the meditative absorption. Then we come to 6, which is the power of clear comprehension. Clear comprehension, that we understand, we comprehend what is going on. We understand what all this teaching is all about, what all this practice is all about. We're comprehending that this is really working. And this is controlling or we're learning to subdue our sight, or we're using our sight, our sense of seeing, in order to be able to pull this together, to be able to inspire us. And using the iconography, or using other kinds of illustrations, using nature as a means to inspire our meditative absorption. Going outside and seeing the clouds in the sky, and the stars at night, and the sun and the moon, and all the different things that we maybe have taken for granted, now we incorporate, and we're not letting the sight now become a distraction to us. This is the main thing. This is the most important thing, because, we're seduced by so many things that we see, whether it's on television, whether it's in books and magazines, images, when we see other people, and we, it's just, sometimes we see somebody that's very seductive. It just wakens up our mind to the point of, confusion. We want to have, we have jealousy. We want to have that, and so on. So our sight, becomes a great intoxicant to us. So we're controlling that. So here now, the monk is now let go of the elephant with his hook. He doesn't need the hook anymore. He's gently leading the elephant with his lasso. And the elephant has become 2/3 purified. And behind him is the monkey, who is still holding on to the elephant, saying that the monkey still can have some influence. He can pull on that tail and he can pull that elephant back. But he's clearly moving forward, watching the monk. The rabbit has disappeared altogether. That torpor, that laziness has been overcome, has gone away. So, so that's a good thing. So now we also see that behind these animals and in front, the fire has lessened behind them, and in front of them, there's no longer that fire intensity. So we're moving in another turn here. And now we come to number 7. Number 7, we see the monk who is being very peaceful, very calm. He no longer has his tools. He no longer has the hook, and he no longer has the rope. He doesn't need that, and he has persevered. He has been able to his senses, his 5 senses, have been subdued, and then the mind, the elephant is now almost completely purified. Still a little bit of darkness there, but almost completely purified. And the monkey is at the feet of the monk, who is sitting at his feet, who now is completely subservient to the monk. The monkey has a little bit of black feet, but he's still there and still has some potential. But this is the power of the perseverance, that the 5 senses have been overcome, have been subdued. And we come to part number 8. And now the monkey has disappeared. That discursive mind, that jumping around, the monkey mind has completely gone away, is no longer a factor. And the elephant, the mind, has been completely purified. And the monk is moving in a forward direction, is in front, and is very peaceful, and is showing his hand is out, like in this protection mudra, with his palm up like that. And this is the attainment of the single pointed mindfulness, the attainment of single pointedness of mind. So the monk has attained this at this point, the single point. So the elephant is completely purified in this degree. So this is what we're working for. This takes time to be able to do this, traversing the path. And then finally we come to this turn here, and now the monk and the elephant, the mind, are both resting. They are both completely purified, and there's perfect equanimity. There's no attachment, there's no aversion, there's no jealousy. Everything is in perfect equanimity. The mind is at rest. And this is our initial goal. This is where we want to be. We want to be rested at all times, being in this position here. And now you see that from the monk's heart, you see this from the monk's heart, is this ray. So here is this road that is being followed. Now here is an aspirational ray, now becomes a practical ray, a from the heart of the monk. This spirituality is being projected from the heart. And now, number 10, we see the elephant is walking along this projected path of bliss. This is bliss coming from the heart of the monk. And here the monk has periods of being able to fly. Here the mind is carrying the monk. The monk is controlling the mind. It's complete control of the mind, who is traveling this transcendent path that comes from the heart center of the monk. These flights of the monk, these flights of the monk. This is the transcendence. When, these times when it's just like flying. You have these meditative experiences that are just like flying. And sometimes you'll read accounts where the yogis or the bodhisattvas were able to walk through walls. They had no barriers. They could fly from one location to another location. This is that state of mind. This is a state of mind that allows you to do that. And it's not the intellectual mind, it's the heart mind. So you have flights like that by being able to control the mind in this transcendent space. And then we come to 11. So this is body and mental bliss, this blissful state that is being characterized here. And then we come to now this aspirational path coming from the heart of the monk. You see now splits. You see it goes in one direction and you see it goes in another direction. And then here is the elephant, and you see the monk, and they are turned around. They are going back in the direction from which they came. And the monk is carrying a flaming sword, and I'm just trying to say, and behind him is this fire, this wisdom fire. And what he's doing, what he's able to do, he is moving from the obscurations. He has overcome the two obscurations of the afflictive emotions and the imputed knowledge. The imputed knowledge is our wisdom knowledge, our mental misconceptions. That which we think is important, this imputed knowledge. We think that this is important, the most important thing, what it is to be a human being, to be able to build these things and do these things as a human being, that these are the most important things. But there is this transcendence of that, this overcoming of that, which is what this monk carrying the wisdom flaming sword being on the mind here represents. And this wisdom fires behind them, and you see that from his heart now is going up into this transcendent space, which connotes greater dimension, if you will. If this is all three-dimensional, this leads to greater dimensions. So this number 11 is the cutting of the remaining two obscurations of afflictive emotions and the imputed knowledge, and coming back now for the sake of all other beings. That now this monk and his mind and this fire and so on like that, coming from overcoming the two obscurations now, is coming back for the sake of all other beings, to help all other beings. And this goes back to here being on this fruit, where this monkey is seeing all this fruit, all this wisdom fruit, that this monk at this point here, right here, is illustrating. So that tells quite a story, doesn't it? Any comments or questions?
Super cool, Lance. Thank you. I've never heard that story before.
Very good. Do you think it's helpful?
Yeah, it's like as you were describing it, you said something probably about 30 minutes ago where you're like, what does this remind you of? Like as you were describing like the ceilings and floors analogy. And I was thinking like the psycho-afflictive representation of like the different realms, like the ceilings and floors of those, where
Oh, sure.
we go through those, the delusions of those, like where we may be a hungry ghost and an animal, like going from the lower descending up, to have the good fortune of being, move up, and from the psychological perspective of it, I thought about that as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. This house could certainly be, our house of knowledge, our mundane lives, our physical and intellectual being that hasn't realized the spirituality.
Yeah, and I liked when you said like doing all this, like to be a complete human being, you're like you could go for a walk, you can go do all these hobbies and like golfing. And as you were describing everything in context, because I do those things actually, but I think your point is, are you preparing yourself to be a complete human being? And I like those sentences. You say some powerhouse statements that stick with me. So that was a good one. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, well, why don't we take oh no, we yeah, let's take a short break here. We'll take a 15-minute break. Say we come back at say we come back at quarter to 11. 20-minute break, and so you can get something to eat, something to drink, stretch, and so on. And then we're going to have a little bit of a follow up on this, answer some more questions if you have questions, and then we're going to do a practice. So okay, so we'll come back in quarter of the hour, whatever time that is for you.
And it's taken time for me for it to begin to really sink in. For a while, a good while, I think that although I thought of myself as serious, I think I was along for the ride. And like a checklist, a to-do list of things to do, but I'm thinking less of it that way now. I think of it as something that makes me feel better every day. If it's a burden, if it's a thing to do, if it's like a thing you carry, then it's you're not where you need to be with it. But I would think that a lot of people go through that because that's the way we're taught to view the things that we do in life. So for me, it's a thing that is starting to carry me rather than a thing that I was carrying.
Yeah. Interesting. Very good too.
Matthew, how does this land on you?
The Shamatha teachings in general.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for me, and like I was saying before, noticing like I feel like my mind has gotten more wild over time. I don't mean like through the practice, but and yeah, and I think it comes back to the idea that's really big one that you've mentioned, which is like the lifestyle idea. Like I can't silo off practice and have it be like effective. I need to incorporate everything together. I can't just live
Yeah.
my life in some other way and then have like the Buddhist part of my life and then like some other part of my life, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think that in the beginning, that we become aware of how our mind is jumping around. So it seems like it's jumping around more since we've embarked on this path, but it's only that we become aware of it more.
No.
It was always doing it. We just took it for granted. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But once
Yeah.
we, stabilize the restfulness, the shamatha meditation, then we say, "Oh, that's where I really want to be. That's natural. That's the natural state." And I think that's a key word. What is the nature of being a human being?
Huh.
Zara, are you back with us? Okay, well, we should continue on then. And so now let's go to this other picture.
Yes, Lance, I'm sorry. I'm
Okay, very good. Well, I'm glad you're with
I'm
us.
here.
Karina and Gavin, I don't know what.
I was listening to everything.
All right, good. I didn't put that other picture up. Let me see. Wait a minute. One moment. I go back here. I'm not. Where did I put that picture? Sorry to bore you with this, but let me see. Oh, there it was. Okay. Sorry. All right, y'all can see this picture now?
Yes.
Okay. So let's
Yeah, it's great. I
All
can
right.
see it.
All right, good. So let's talk about this for a minute. So this is the process. Well, where did he come from? Sorry. Sorry, my friends. 1 second here.
I think I saw it in a window behind some of these ones you have. Oh, there it is. Yeah, yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out these things. Oh, okay. All right. So now you can see this image, I presume. Okay. So what this represents is really the tempering process of what it is that we are going through. That we can look at ourselves as we can look at ourselves as being our minds like being iron ore. You know, it's unrefined ore that comes out of the ground that has within it, you know, these precious qualities that we want to be. Maybe it's gold or maybe it's silver, whatever it is. And we have to go through a process to be able to get to this. If we use iron as the example, iron comes out of the ground, and iron is relatively brittle. If you can break it with your hands if it's thin enough where you could smash it with a hammer or something like that and it'll break apart. So if we say our mind is a lot like that, you know, with our mind is you know, we can do a lot of things with it, but it's easily obstructed and it's easily confused. So it's distracted. So if we take that iron ore and we take the iron ore and we put it into a fire. So over here is a fire and we heat it up. So this is what this yogi has done. He's taken this iron ore and he's heated it up, and he's got this helper here who's blowing the wind of the fire. You can see that down here is embers, and the flames are blowing up here. So he's heating that up till it gets to be white hot, and then he takes that iron ore and he puts it onto an anvil and he hammers it, and every time he strikes the iron ore on the anvil, sparks fly off, and those sparks are slag, is impurities, and he's beating the impurities away. And then he takes the iron ore and then he puts it into this vat of water here, and the vat of water cools it, and then and cools it down, and then he takes the iron ore and he puts it back into the fire, and then heats it up to be white hot, puts it back onto the anvil, and then hits it with the hammer, and then puts it back into the water. Pardon me. And it keeps going over and over this process. And what it's doing, it's tempering the iron so that it becomes strong. It becomes resilient. You can bend it before you can break it. Before, as it came out of the ground, it was very brittle and couldn't be bent. But now it can be moved around. You can shape it into different things. So he has control over the iron ore, which is a metaphor for our mind. So this is what the yogi is doing, and this is what we are trying to do. So the process of the meditation, of the four thoughts, of the method of meditation, of the shamatha meditation, are all that process of cooling and heating and cooling and hammering and heating and so on like that. So So these beings here are like the helpers. These are like the heroes. These are the dakas. These are the male skyfarers. This is like a dakini who is offering to the yogi, who is showing the yogi how to maintain the diligence in this. So these are supporters, and this is all within ourselves that we have to arise the hero within ourselves to be able to help us to be able to accomplish our tempering. So this is that tempering process. Anybody have any questions? What do you think of that illustration?
I think it's right on. I love it.
Okay. So does it help to illustrate the process of what we're doing? Does it give you some level of confidence that this is really going to work for me?
Yes.
Okay, well, very good.
For me, it does.
Well, that's the intention is to create these facilities that we can begin this process. So let's begin by doing a practice. So let's sit wherever we are. If you're on a chair or on a cushion, it's preferred if you can be on a cushion. You fold your legs and so on, and we call this the Vajra posture. Our legs are crossed in a Vajra lotus position. If we're sitting on a chair, we sit on the chair, maybe the end of the chair, so that our back is straight. We're not slouched leaning on the back if we can do that. Our legs can be together, our ankles can be together, or we can cross our ankles beneath us on the floor, whatever's most comfortable for you. Our back is straight, which is the most important part. These are the 7-point posture of Varanchana is what this is called. Our back is straight, and our left hand is, the palm is up, the right hand is lying in the left, and our thumbs are touching 4 inches below our navel. And if we pull our shoulders back, it pulls our arms and our hands right into our abdomen, about 4 inches below our navel. So it's very natural position. We can relax if our hands kind of fall to our lap a little bit. That's just fine. There shouldn't be any tension in your body. It should be relaxed. It should be firm, but it shouldn't be rigid. And then our shoulders, like I said, are back. Our head is just a little bit forward. Our neck is just a little bit bent, and it's kind of like the shape of a horse, of a gallant stallion or mare. And our chin is down just a little bit, and we're just relaxed in that position. And our eyes can be open or closed. If our eyes are open, they should be just looking down in the direction of our nose, down at the floor or whatever's in front of us, but not at something that is going to be harsh, something that is going to be unpleasant. It should be something very neutral. We shouldn't be staring at anything. It should just be a gaze, just a rested gaze. So 4 or 5 feet in front of ourselves. And our tongue should be on the roof of our mouth, behind our front teeth. Our mouth can be open or closed. If we breathe through our mouth, that's fine. The tongue on the roof of the mouth will keep the mouth moist. If we just let our tongue flop around in our mouths, it'll tend to dry out if we're breathing through our mouth. But it's so we breathe in through both nostrils or through our mouth, and we expand. We're bringing the breath all the way down through two channels, two breath channels that are coming all the way down to 4 inches below our navel. And those two channels, then we expand our belly. So we're pulling that breath all the way down to our abdomen, and we expand the belly and we hold that. We hold that fresh, clean, pure air that we have pulled in, and we hold that breath, and we've expanded the diaphragm. And as we expand the diaphragm, it pulls against or pushes or opens up the lungs. So the air is literally sucked in by way of our abdomen expanding, our diaphragm opening up, opens up our lungs. We hold the breath, and then we exhale by squeezing the abdomen, which squeezes against the diaphragm, which squeezes against the lungs and forces all that stale, negative, dark air out. And we hold that breath. So this is watching the breath. So we begin our process with watching the breath. So we breathe in through both nostrils. Hold the breath. Exhale. That's one. Breathe in. Hold it. Exhale. Two. Breathe in. Exhale. Three. Keep your body relaxed, firm, but not rigid. Breathe in. Out. Four. If we need to move our legs or our butt, whatever we need to move to remain comfortable, go right ahead. Keep your back straight and keep your mindfulness. Breathe in. Exhale. Five. In. Out. 6, in, out, seven, in, out, 8, in, out, 9, in, out, 10, in, out, 11. Let your body stay relaxed, firm, not rigid. Breathe in, out, 12. Breathe in, out, 13. In, out, 14. In, Out. 15. In. Out. 16. In. Out. 17. In. Out. 18. In. Out. 19. In. Out. 20. Breathe in very deeply and hold it. Breathe out completely and hold it. Now breathe normal at your own pace. Keep your eyes closed. Maintain your body position and just stay relaxed. Thought comes in, just let it pass right through. Let it go. Just remain peaceful and relaxed. Your mind wanders, bring it back to watching the breath at your own pace. Breathing in fresh, clean, pure air. Exhaling stale, negative, dark air. Continue for 5 minutes. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale and hold it. Open your eyes, breathe normal, stretch your arms. So here we'll do 2 more 5-minute sessions like this. Just take a short break. Hopefully you feel relaxed, peaceful. So now take your cards and put them in front of you, if you can. And when your mind begins to wander, bring it back to these cards. You can look at the picture of the yogi who is tempering his mind. You can look at the Shamatha calm abiding meditation illustration. You can look at the back side of that where the explanations for each of those stages is listed. And then you can rest. Go back into your meditation. You can use the breathing exercise if you prefer that, watching the breath. Not to dwell on it, just to use it for a moment to stabilize the mind that has become agitated or loose. Just bring it back to be firm, but not rigid. So now we resume our position, our 7-point posture of Varanchana. Keeping the back straight is the most important element. We breathe in very deeply and hold the breath. Exhale completely. Relax and breathe at your own pace. Watching the breath, looking at the cards. a deep breath and hold it. Exhale. Open your eyes. Stretch your arms around. Relax. Okay, that's third 5-minute section. Keep your back straight. Your body in the other 7-point posture, Varanchana. This next time, if your mind wanders, just use whatever tools that you need to bring your mind back to your meditation, your calm abiding. You need to look at the pictures, watching your breath. Stay relaxed. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale. Breathe normal. Watch your breath. Use the pictures. Catch a glimpse of the mind at rest, peaceful and serene, quiet. Take a deep breath and hold it. Exhale. Open your eyes, stretch your arms, stretch your torso. Okay. So was that a good exercise? Was that helpful?
Yeah,
Matt?
for sure. The card is very helpful. It is so me.
To show you?
Yes.
How do you mean?
the, the illustration is rather startling, but it's very familiar. I kept looking at the card occasionally during the meditation. It's going to be a keeper for me.
Well, good. Yeah, I kind of think it needs to be bigger. I can print it on a bigger piece of paper. And
I could put it on my wall. And
do you have the ability to print at home now?
yes. Uh-huh.
Because I think I send it to you. I could send it again, and you could just print it on a. Oh, you want to print on a full size piece of paper, full image.
I can, yeah, I can. We have a printer. I might have trouble explaining it to Lori would certainly understand it.
Well, good. Mark, how about you? What did you think of that? Was the structure of that pleasant? Mark?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Yeah, I mean, it's challenging. I'm not used to sitting at all. I'm what's the word? I have a handicap with breathing, and so I couldn't follow you even a little bit. I need to keep breathing. I cannot hold my breath for any more than a second or two at the most. My lungs are compromised. So that part of it's very, very, well, I'll just have to work around it. But the rest of it feels right. It feels good. I remember being at the point where I could sit for 20 or 30 minutes, but that was very long time ago. So I have to work my way back to that.
Okay, good. Yeah, do whatever you need to and adapt as best you can.
Yes.
Yes. How do you, Matt, how do you feel now? After we finish those 3 short sessions, how do you feel?
Definitely more settled and peaceful, and I like the breathing technique, and it's helpful for me when I uh, when I do get really lost in thought and things have really strayed on me to do a few rounds of that. It's not something I typically do, but I'm going to start doing, and it does have a way of kind of bringing me back. And I actually liked too, which is another thing I've certainly never done before, in a similar way when my mind has strayed too much and I've gotten lost in thought, of using that the image of like the elephant and the monkey, and it kind of makes it less personal because there's not like as much of the judgments that come in of like, even if it's very subtle, of like the disappointment or something of like, oh, like come on, I gotta, it's it feels like less of a personal failing in a way that's actually more helpful to settle my mind, something like that. But but yeah, I feel much more centered and peaceful for sure.
Does the 3 sessions like that help? Would it be better to do one 15-minute session?
Hmm. I like the 3 sessions, I think.
I at this point, I think the 5-minute sessions are good, although there have been times when I've meditated I meditate for half an hour. I don't do it with this type of technique, which is helpful, but I found something on YouTube under the search term Vipassana, and they have 30-minute, 45-minute, an hour meditations, and all it is every 5 or 10 minutes you just hear a bell, which kind of marks, and you sit and meditate. And I use those usually for a 30-minute meditation. But I have done an hour, and for me, that little bell that they ring, like the bell that you have there, is kind of brings me back to center. If my mind is wondering if the monkey is pulling on me, so they have a way of keeping you focused. It's a very simple thing, and anyone can do it. I do it I use my phone to do it. And I just set it beside me and I meditate for whatever period of time I choose, whether I choose a 30-minute session or a 45-minute session or whatever. So it's Vipassana on YouTube if anyone is interested. That's just a tool that seems to help me. It may not help everyone, but
Yeah, we're going to talk about Vipassana next time.
Yeah.
Because that follows the Shamatha, and the two go together really. But first we have to establish the Shamatha, as our reference point, so to speak. So we'll talk about that next time.
Something that was interesting too that that Kenpo mentioned during the little shamatha retreat thing a few weeks ago, and is very much in line with like behavioral science too, is he had said to like stop your meditation, like in the thing with the, I guess in the context of shamatha, like while you're having like a pleasurable feeling with it, like while you're in a place where you, and like you want to be doing a bit more. And he was saying to do that, and then it like keeps your mind wanting to come back to the meditation and like wanting to keep meditating in general, and then just like bringing it back to that kind of stillness because it's trying to get back to that kind of more pleasurable place rather than
Sure.
stopping more at a place where it's like, ugh, let me get this over with kind of
Yeah.
thing. I don't know, I thought that was interesting and certainly useful for me.
It's developing a muscle memory. You see sports people, athletes doing that. If you watch golf or you watch tennis or baseball or something like that, especially if they hit an errant shot, they will practice that swing, just an air swing right away. Say, oh, this is what I should have done, rather than let that negative when they lost their grip or something like that, that becomes the last thing that they hold on to, either the mistake they made or this is the way I should have done it, and holding on to that. So I think it kind of goes to that point. So yes, there's many techniques. There's all kinds of little things that we learn and develop ourselves along the way and so on, and they're all good. It's all kind of self-supporting and self-corrective. All right. Well, unless somebody else has anything else you want to talk about, Zara is back with us. Zara, did you have any comments about anything? We were just talking, and did you enjoy the 5-minute sessions? And has this been helpful to you? How do you feel now?
Hey Lance, yeah, I feel good. What I'm gonna do is the takeaway from today for me was incorporating the breath work, the intentionality of the breath work. The 5-minute intervals, I've been working on that for a while. I would like to incorporate some of the breath work into my practice before I get into meditation.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there something else about the shamatha? Does this open the door for, some exploration on your part, doing a little research? Is there something else that you would like to understand about shamatha, or does this give you enough of a platform at least to begin the practice on?
Is that for me or for the group?
Well, for the group. Anybody?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, well then, if something does come up, we can talk about it. And like I said, next week we'll concentrate more on the vipassana and what that means and how we integrate that in. So we're building the stages of meditation. So as I repeated them when we began this session, this is the procedure to go through. And even if you quickly go through, parts 1, 2, and 3 to get to part 4 and 5, that's fine. That's good. That's what you should do. But remember that there is this procedure, and it's that gives us the structure that we need. When we need the discipline, we need the structure, and to rely on that. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Okay, well then let's return to our books. We'll do our dedication, and we can relax for the rest of the day. So Gary, if you will go to, I'll screen share this, I think. So we need to go to page 18, 19, 20, 21, etc. Okay, Gary, whenever you're ready. So everybody recite along with Gary, please. And just the English is fine. Gary, your microphone is muted. It's still muted. Gary, your microphone is muted.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state.
No, please start at the beginning. George A. Chang. Are you on page 18?
Okay, I see. Right. I'm sorry. George A. Chang, Tilopa, Naropa, Marpa, Milarepa, Dharma, Lord Gampopa, Bhagmo Drupa, and Lord Drikumpa. Please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessing of all the Kagyu Lamas. By this virtue may I achieve the all-knowing state, and may all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating all enemies. Confusion, the cause of suffering. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind. Where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray that the Lama may have good health. I pray that the Lama may have long life. Pray that your Dharma activities spread far and wide. I pray that I may not be separated from you. As Manjushri the warrior realized the ultimate state, and as did Samattabhadra, I will follow in their path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddha who attained the 3 kayas, by the blessing of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of the indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. The Karma Prayer. By the virtues collected in the 3 times, by myself and all beings in samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, May I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. May the teachings of the great Drinkumpa Ratnashri, who is omniscient Lord of the Dharma, master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. Dedication prayer by Lord Jinkyusumga. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind root, and lineage lamas. Divine assembly of Yadams, assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yogins, Yoginis, and Dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions. Please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana and the innate root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly concerns, the 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Shravaka or Pratyeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Mars and the hordes of demons, experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment to fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise even for a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that, may I become a spiritual master with good qualities, equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of the mind as such and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I, in any case, gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. Om, Ah, Hum. May my mind, body, speech, and mind become inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of all the enlightened ones for the sake of all sentient beings.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Mark, thanks for joining us. And
Thank you, Lance.
Matt and Zara, always good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lance. Good to see you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
See you all tomorrow.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
good. See you
Yes.
tomorrow evening.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Cheery. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lance.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome. Mark, would you like to make a time to come over and visit?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me open up a calendar. Hold on.
All right.
I have some obligations next week.
Okay.
Let me open it. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Monday is not good. Tuesday's possible after about 12:30 or 1, I guess, 1 o'clock. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, anytime you want.
Well, would Tuesday, like 2 o'clock, would that be convenient?
Yeah, 2 o'clock Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, very good. We can have a snack if you like when we get here, and we can sit and talk, and maybe it'll be a nice day. We can sit on the porch together, and so it'll be nice. You can see our meditation room, and we can come up and maybe sit a few minutes with that. So that would be very good.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Monday night we have Buddhism 101. So same Zoom at 7 o'clock, and we'll continue we'll continue talking about Dharma then.
And when is the Buddhism 101? Is that
Monday night at 7 o'clock.
okay? Zoom at
Same,
7 p.m.
yeah, same Zoom address at 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay, doke.
Yeah.
All right. See you next time then. Thank you very much for joining us.
Bye.
All right, Jerry. Bye bye.